Now, word leaked earlier today, Senator, that Trump allies are planning a floor takeover.
President Trump and his Republican allies have made major moves over the past couple of days in order to ensure that the Save America Act passes Congress, the same bill that will require voter ID and to prove that you are a citizen in order to vote. What Republicans just did, Trump allies, is causing mass panic among Democrats because Republicans in Congress, in the Senate, just announced that they'll be taking over the Senate floor once the Save America Act is brought to the floor in the Senate. Take a look at this reporting.
Now, word leaked earlier today, Senator, that Trump allies are planning a floor takeover. Now, what does that mean? I assume that's you. What does that mean, and how will that make it more likely that this becomes law?
I have absolutely no idea what a floor takeover means. But if a floor takeover means that we're going to make filibustering senators speak against this bill, heck yeah, I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's take over the floor. I saw that phrase in a headline just a little while ago. I'm still confused as to what it means. But if it means enforce the talking filibuster, I'm all in.
So we all know that Democrats will not be voting for the Save America Act, but we have some rhinos in Congress that aren't willing to do whatever it takes to pass this bill. So this move by Trump and his Republican allies accomplishes two things. For one, it puts the Democrats in a dilemma. Because if Republicans should take over the Senate floor, what that does, it allows the Republicans to paint the narrative to the American people of why Democrats do not support this legislation, why they don't support voter ID, why they don't support proof of citizenship in order to vote. Also, if Democrats should try to debate Republicans on the Senate floor, then that's going to put them in a bad position as well. Because now Democrats, they have to tell the American people why they do not support this legislation. And the second thing that this move by Trump and his allies accomplishes is that it sends a message to rhinos in Congress, to Senator John Thune. Because remember, last week, Senator John Thune, he said, hey, we're going to bring the bill on the Senate floor for a vote, just for a procedural vote, to see if we have the votes or not, just to bring it to the floor and get it over with. Now, Trump allies in the Senate, they're saying, not so fast. What we're going to do, we're going to occupy the Senate floor for days, weeks, or even months, just like what Congress did with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where debates went on for 60 days until the American people started pressuring their Congress members to pass the Civil Rights Act. This move doesn't guarantee the passing of this bill, but what it does, it puts Democrats in a corner, plus it's also sending a message to the rhinos in Congress. And after this move was announced, we have Alex Padilla from California, a senator, who went on MSN Now, or MSNBC, to have a meltdown on their platform. Take a look at this.
This coming week, I'm taking to the floor, leading my colleagues to make sure that we oppose any sort of parliamentary trick they may try to get the SAVE Act passed. We're not going to let it get past the Senate.
As you can see, that Senator Alex Padilla saying that they'll do whatever it takes to stop the Republicans from taking over the floor. But I don't think they're going to be successful at all. I don't think they're going to be successful in stopping the Republicans. And Senate Republicans aren't the only ones who have cornered Democrats in order to ensure that the Save America Act passes. Because we have House Republicans, over 40 to 50 of them, Trump allies, that announced that they'll be blocking any bill coming from the Senate unless they pass the Save America Act. Take a look at this.
I would guess that right now there are probably 40 or 50 Republicans that are not going to vote for any piece of legislation from the Senate. Yep. That's a large chunk of the Republican conference. And again, I think it's because we recognize that this is the political issue of the day right now. This is what the American people want. And by the way, this is going to be key to House Republicans keeping a majority in November. It's going to be hard for us to go back to our voters in November and tell them, listen, you gave us control of the House, you gave us control of the Senate, and we couldn't get a common sense voter ID bill passed that both parties, at least from a voter standpoint, support. That's going to be really difficult. So I hope that the Senate sees that this is key to us maintaining control of the House. And if we don't do this, it's going to be a lot harder for us in a few months.
So as you can see, Senate Republicans are putting pressure on the Democrats and on rhinos in Congress. And the House is also making a move as well to block anything coming out of the Senate. I remember the other day, President Donald Trump, he announced that he'll not be signing any legislation coming out of Congress unless they pass the Save America Act. And this is to show you that Trump's coalition is still strong and they're willing to burn any political capital in order to pass the Save America Act. This is what it means to work for the people, because we know a majority of Americans, over 80% of Americans, supports this legislation. But you have rhinos, the Uniparty, we have rhinos and Democrats who are willing to work together to stop this bill from passing. And recently, Trump announced that this bill needs to make it to his desk as soon as possible. Take a look at this.
Can you give us an update on the Save America Act? It seems like the majority leader, Senator John Thune, is going to bring it up for a vote. This has to be a red line in the sand for the GOP, right?
It's what we're hearing, and it's what we're hoping. The president has made it very clear he wants that bill on his desk here at the White House as soon as possible. It is 5 of the most common sense proposals that any party has ever put forward, and the American people overwhelmingly support this bill. Voter ID, proof of citizenship to vote, no mail-in ballots, which we know create tremendous amount of fraud in our electoral system, cannot transgender mutilate our young children. We need a ban on those procedures in surgeries, and then, of course, no men in women's sports. That's what the president is asking for. It's the Save America Act. It's a great piece of legislation. I look forward to seeing how Democrats can possibly oppose these overwhelmingly popular and positive policies for our country and for the American people.
As you can see, this is a maximum pressure campaign because we have pressure coming from both chambers of Congress and from the executive as well. Because this is what the American people wants. Because this is what the American people desire. And here we have Chuck Schumer. He went on CNN and was asked about voter ID. What voter ID would you support? And he could not bring himself to give a straight answer to the question. Take a look.
You, Senator, because I know you're against the Save America Act, what kind of voter ID could you support? Is there a middle ground?
Look, Democrats support voter ID, and many states do, but that's not what the SAVE Act does. It will purge tens of millions of Americans from the voting lists, and they won't even know they're purged till they show up at the polling place and they say you're purged. And what is the mechanism for purging them? DOGE, what Elon Musk put in terms of the policies of what to do. Do people want ICE to determine who should vote and who should not vote? That is so un-American. So the SAVE Act goes way, way beyond mere voter ID when you show up at the election place. It goes to purging it's estimated 20, 30, 40 million Americans would not be allowed to vote if this act took effect. It is outrageous, and as I have said, it is Jim Crow 2.0. It's
so
doing
forget
the
SAVE
same
Act,
kind
but
of
is
thing
there
that
is
has
there
been done.
Is not the Save America Act or SAVE Act, but is there some kind of voter ID you could vote for?
Yes, there is. Democrats have voted for voter ID at the polling places over and over again. And that's not the issue with the SAVE Act.
Okay. Senator.
What you're seeing here are the same talking points from Chuck Schumer, which is not resonating with the American people. And the American people sees right through it. Because we all know it is not racist to require an ID to vote. It is not sexist for you to prove that you are a citizen in order to vote. It is not Jim Crow 2.0 to limit mail-in ballots. And Chuck Schumer mentioned that New York has voter IDs. But the thing is, what he didn't mention is that you can show your driver's license in order to vote. And what we know is that a lot of these blue states, to include New York, gives driver's license to illegal immigrants. And here we have President Donald Trump torching these Democrat leaders for opposing this bill. Take a look.
Voter ID. No, I think it's a 99. I think the Democrats have it at 87%. The leadership doesn't want it. Why don't you want voter ID? There's only one reason. Ready? Because you want to cheat. Okay? They blame it on all sorts of things. They came up, they said it's racist. They came up with things that you have to say their imagination is great. No, we're not going to let them cheat like they did in a certain election that we won't talk about. But that election was, and they cheat now. Look, we're not going to let it happen. So we're going to go get the Save America.
The president is making a fair argument as to why Democrats oppose this legislation, as to why they don't want voter ID. It's because they want to cheat, or they want to continue to cheat. Because that could be the only rational explanation as to why someone would oppose a bill that would require that only citizens are voting. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.